About 9 years ago, I managed to convince myself that I was 9 years old. Every day I walk out into the street, I see things as a 9-year-old would see them. Does that make sense?
Yes and no. I mean,
What are you sat on?
A bed?
That's not. It's a bouncy bounce.
Bouncy bounce, okay.
What are those on your feet?
They're shoes.
They're not. They're your choo-choos.
I mean, how else do you live like a 9-year-old? I mean, you're drinking.
You're drinking alcohol.
This isn't alcohol. This is wee-wee.
Wee-wee.
You can do this. Really. Stand up.
Okay.
Okay, come on. Shake it off.
I mean,
That's it.
I feel silly.
I know.
No. Come on. You're 9 years old.
It would be nice to not care as much about what other people thought.
It's the best.
Oh, I am Michelle. I'm Michelle.
Makes you want to go jump on the bed, on the bouncy bounce.
Get off there.
Wait, what?
Come off there. Not on Daddy's bouncy bounce. You know this.
TBTL.
The first part of being smart is knowing what to do. We're gonna have systems in place that are easier to learn. Because when we can when we can learn our system and we can get good at our system, then our talent can take over.
Can I throw something on you, see if it feels good?
Sure.
Okay, this is what I would do. I would start with a joke. Vince Vaughn quote, obviously.
Swingers or crashers?
Fred Claus.
Can I just stop you real quick and just say, what a wonderful atmosphere you have here. A lot of energy, a lot of motion, a lot of fun, a lot of high-fiving, a lot of smiles.
You're both little troublemakers. You're both huge in Japan. You probably have a lot to talk about. Go!
Keep things light. Don't bring up your divorce.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome, everyone, to a Thursday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
Okay, I'm done gatekeeping.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia, where we are just absolutely deluged by water right now. It's
Didn't know you like to get wet, though.
like flood warning through tonight. I'm looking across the river over at Rainier, Oregon, where multiple waterfalls have sort of developed on this big kind of undeveloped hillside of forest that I tend to look at. When there's that much water coming down, it just kind of finds a way. I was considering chasing those waterfalls later today, but then sort of thought better of it. Anyway, here we are inside the Madrona Hill studio. Still have not sprung any leaks and are ready to bring you episode 4682 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
I was driving home last night. By the way, there was water on the roadway. There were frogs in the water on the roadway, which felt sort of biblical, or at least like something out of the movie Magnolia. When I was driving back from having been in Portland, we did Livewire at this very cool, immersive art gallery called Hopscotch that was totally awesome.
For me to be able to connote that, like, my artism is bigger than that.
I feel like I'm having a personal, at age 49, having a personal renaissance with art, particularly, installation art and stuff like that. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Also, speaking of art, there's a new television show that I've been really getting into.
I don't even own a television.
From our guy, Stephen Conrad, the guy that made Patriot, the other show we love so much. We'll talk a little bit about DTF St. Louis. And it's a Thursday, a.k.a. Blur's Day. So
My birthday today.
we'll do the Blur's Day messages. And we're going to talk to this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. He has kind of a weird way of getting ready for the program right before we crack the mics.
Plump up these humps.
He's Andrew Walsh. He's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I'd somehow forgotten about that one. I forgot that existed.
Memory hole.
That was... I need some of those forget-me-somes.
Yeah, forget-me-not.
Speaking of
shots. Oh, wait. I'm thinking Simpsons. You're thinking Arrested Development.
I'm thinking of Arrested Development Season 5, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Speaking of drops, could you please get the...
Okay.
It was literally a major disaster. Have you already played that this morning?
No, I haven't.
You played it yesterday, maybe, but I feel like
Probably.
we might want that because you know what I had yesterday, Luke? And this is kind of rare. You and I talk about cooking and our own cooking adventures on this show, but from the perspective of two men who have not cooked a lot in their life, now enjoy it to the degree that we do it, but we never
I have my entire
claim to
day
be.
built around cooking a soup tonight, Andrew, if you want to know.
I mean, it's something that we enjoy doing that is calming, but I think you and I are both, we trip over ourselves not to make it sound like we know more about it than we do, because I think we're both kind of uncomfortable with bravado in that space.
Well, yeah,
Is that
and I
good
have a
way of
lot to
putting
learn.
it?
There ain't nothing like soup.
Right. So, and that's the person who
That's where I
inspired
learned
the
all
soup
of, my,
love. Yeah.
all of my culinary skills.
But the truth of the matter is, for the most part, while we cook, we mostly have successes. You know, I don't know about you, but like sometimes you're like, well, next time I do this, I'll maybe do this a little bit differently. I was telling some friends there was a recipe that I've now made 3 times, and it kind of took the third time for me to kind of learn to adjust
curry
it
recipe?
to my, yeah, exactly. And I think there were some things I needed to change in that and stuff. And so anyway, but it's been a really, really long time since I've had literally a major...
It was literally a major disaster.
Don't you ever play that drop when I'm trying to talk. How dare you? That
was good.
Oh, how dare you? Another drop. I only talk in drops. Luke, I had such a disappointment last night.
Oh, no.
That I also, and this is where things might... I need you to litigate something, sort of, because I am also dragging ass this morning, which isn't totally rare for me. But I'm also sort of blaming my culinary disaster on the reason I'm tired. And Genevieve...
Did you decide to try to drink the pain away?
And Genevieve thinks that's either ridiculous or I have some sort of major malady that I need to get taken care of. So here's the deal. There was that big Mexico-Italy World Baseball Classic game on yesterday. It started early.
USA.
And it started at 4 p.m. And I know for a lot of people that's a little early to get your evening started, but I'm like, this is great. Like I was coming home from the gym. I'm like, I will stop off. It'll be like the timing would be perfect. If I stop off at the store, get some food, and be home by 4 o'clock. I didn't even know what I wanted to make, but I'm like, this is perfect. I can putter around the kitchen, have the laptop open in the kitchen, and watch most of this game, and then eat whatever I make. Right?
Can I just say, I wonder if this is also something that indicates that you and I enjoy cooking, but are maybe not serious cooks in a certain way. Because for me, the idea of what's going to be on TV while I'm cooking, what's going to be on the iPad, or what's the music going to be like. I'm always excited to be cooking while something else interesting is happening, which I don't know if that's how a real chef does it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would guess that most people who like to clunk around the kitchen, like,
I'm just
probably
thinking
have
like a serious, like
or,
maybe so. I'm thinking like a serious chef, like the Bear Yes chef. They're never watching a game while they're getting yelled at by Bruce Springsteen.
I don't know.
I haven't seen the show or the movie.
No, you
but
got. I assume you got it. I haven't seen it either.
So you got a big plan. It's 4.
So,
you're gonna.
So I'm
you're
like,
gonna cook,
this is perfect. And I have this fleeting thought of like, actually, instead of cooking, what I kind of want is like
freezer feast,
like freezer feast chicken wings or something. I'm like, wait,
Sir,
no, just
that's football food. Do not disrespect baseball that way.
I was like, just make some fresh chicken wings. They're very easy to make. You have an oven that isn't also an air fryer. Sometimes, like during the summer, I'll even make chicken wings on the grill, which I like. And I just kind of make them.
These are the best Cajun chicken niblets I've ever had.
That one I needed. That gave me an excuse to clear my throat, or a moment to clear my throat. So thank you for that one. But anyway, I'm no expert at it. You know, I do feel like things like chicken wings sometimes are the types of food that certain people really fetishize. Like, so-and-so, you got to try my chicken wings. Oh, and I'm not like that. I like chicken wings. I've tried cooking them various ways. They usually turn out pretty well. They're a pretty forgiving food. I do like them on the grill. But yesterday I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll read how people kind of properly do them. And I'm reading a bunch of recipes that all basically, it's a very simple thing, but my plan is I have an oven that also acts as an air fryer. My plan is to use the air fryer function. I'll treat these chicken wings however, the internet tells me to.
you choose.
And then at some point I'll whip up some hot sauce and some barbecue sauce. And usually what I do is I make 2 different kind of flavors. Like I will sort of
you're not going to, these aren't going to, will these ideally taste kind of like, when I think of chicken wings, I think of like B-dubs. And like back in my chicken wingier days, I'd always go extra crispy. Are those things deep fried? They're not breaded. I mean, they're maybe lightly dusted in something. But when I think of a chicken wing that I would get at Buffalo Wild Wings, that's not a boneless wing. It's on the bone. Are those dropped in a fryer? To your understanding? in oil or something? How are those typically cooked?
You know, I can't answer that question. My guess is that there are various places that do it different ways, but but ideally what I do want is something that is like a restaurant wing experience. I'm not trying to do something more culinary than that. I want something that feels like, buffalo wings, basically. But sometimes what I do is I'll do like half buffalo, half barbecue, and actually maybe like a big chunk of buffalo, a big chunk of barbecue, then maybe leave some dry, and then you can dress them later, because you can always dress them later. I know a lot of people do that too. But anyway, there's something about when you're cooking them, you can sort of apply some sauces midway through the cooking, and it kind of cooks into them, and so it's pretty good. So anyway, that's my usual thing. This time I'm like, I'm going to follow the actual directions here. And by the way, what I do is I go to SARS, and I get a big thing, because they're good for certain things, and one thing they're good for is buying a giant thing of like chicken wings that you have to cut apart yourself. You know, the flats and the drumsticks and that little extra part are all attached to it. Yeah, you wouldn't like it. It's a lot of people don't like touching meat especially if they don't eat, or people don't like touching chicken, especially if they don't eat meat. But it's part of the deal. And I don't.
Are they
love
cheaper
it,
that way, or is it a better value in a certain way, or do you feel like you can get a better result when you've got the entire thing to kind of like separate as you see fit?
It's all they had, I think, but also
all they'll ever have.
And it's all they'll ever have. It's all they ever want to have. And if they had them separated out, I would have probably bought them too. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter too much. It's kind of part of the thing when you're making wings is often you buy them like that and you got to cut them apart. So that's fine. Again, a big part of this is just puttering in the kitchen, like actually standing there, cutting the chicken apart, watching the game, whatever. So, So I go to SARS. So I'm pretty excited. I buy a huge thing of these things. They only have one size, but it's like 6 pounds of wings or something like that. And I'm like, this is good. What I will do is I'll make a whole bunch of these and then have them in the refrigerator for days. Some people don't like leftovers. I like leftovers. I like having a thing of chicken wings, in the fridge ready to go at any moment.
These will have been cooked, and now they'll be tomorrow's wings. I'll eat
them tonight. I'll eat some tomorrow. I'll have them in the refrigerator. I like making, especially for something like that. So anyway, I'm excited about this. So I'm reading what a lot of people do is they kind of put together a little rub of like baking soda, I think, for a little bit of crispiness.
Really?
Yeah, I think you're supposed to. I think for crispiness, but that's not something I've ever done before. Usually I'm just like.
That sounds scary to me. My mom used to make us brush our teeth with baking soda, and it was an unpleasant experience.
Did I say soda? Sorry, baking powder.
You mean powder.
I meant baking powder. Sorry, not baking soda. Baking soda. I got baking soda. No, baking powder, I think, for a little bit of crispiness. But that's not even something I usually do. I think usually I just kind of, whatever. I do it my own way. This time I'm following this instruction. I choose one of a bunch of similar sort of things. It's like you want, I don't even know what other spices went in there. It doesn't really matter. Paprika. I don't know that cayenne went in this particular one. Some garlic, salt, whatever. So, and they say, mix this all up. And one person even said, put it in a brown paper bag, put the mixture of the spices in a brown paper bag and shake it up. It's the perfect way to like really shake it up evenly. I'm like, okay, I like that little situation. So put some salt in there, a few other very, very basic ingredients. But the thing is, the recipe is for 1 pound, but I'm making like 5 pounds or something. So I scale it up. Because it's just a rub. I mean, essentially, it's a spice coating. It's a rub. It's like a marinade. Like these things, you don't usually have to be like very precise about. It's just kind of to taste, and it's just kind of a base for the meat. Anyway, I mix all this up. It's like I don't have a worry in the world. I'm gonna make some crispy broccoli to go along with it. I really love broccoli,
nice.
And so broccoli might be one of my favorite foods. I realize.
Do you know it's the most common thing I ask them to add to stuff when I'm ordering like Thai food and other things? I feel like everything should have broccoli in it if I'm getting Thai food, and often it doesn't.
One problem in my life is I love broccoli so much, but it's also the worst reheated food. So like when I'm making stir fry, I like it to be very broccoli forward. But like I say, I like to have, when I'm making a meal, I like to have at least 1 day leftovers that I can plan on, like for lunch or something the next day. But then the stir fry is great the night of, but then the next day you gotta microwave the stir fry with broccoli in it, which is a bummer, or eat it cold.
Goes a little limp.
Sometimes I do limp, and it kind of can smell. It can cook unevenly with the rest of the stuff. Anyway, that's just an ongoing issue. We can save that for another epic TBTL episode. But all of that is to say, I'm dragging this out. I coat. So, this was kind of an interesting move. And again, several websites said to do this. Once you have your little spice mix ready to go with the baking powder in there, put the wings into like a Ziploc bag, and then put the spice mix in there, and then shake the bag. That way, it'll kind of coat it evenly. I'm like, I like that move. So
sounds like it's mostly moving it from one bag to a different bag.
The spice goes into a paper bag. The meat goes into a plastic bag. But anyway, everything is going fine. And again, this is such a low lift. This isn't something that I'm even worried about how will this recipe turn out. It's just a spice mix that I'm coating some chicken in, before you put it in the oven. And I do one whole bag of them, so let's say it's 2.5, 3 pounds or something, and then I put them in the oven. The other bag of chicken is kind of waiting in the wings. And I'm mostly worried, as it were, and I'm mostly worried about crispiness. I'm usually I just bake these in traditional oven, like a conventional oven, but this time I'm trying the air fryer, and so there are. I'm still a little bit insecure about my use of the oven air fryer because the oven comes with that basket, but it's not like an air fryer that looks like a coffee pot with the deep basket that comes out. I've never had that. I'm just using the oven, which has that shallow basket. But then if you use that, all the drippings just drip into your oven. So I'm kind of trying to position pans underneath it right and blah, blah, blah. And the first batch comes out. I've treated it with a little bit of buffalo sauce halfway through, and it's cooked in. They come out at first. I'm like, oh no, they don't look like they're crisping right. I leave them in a little bit longer than it said, and then they come out, and then they're starting to look like real chicken wings, like crispy, good chicken wings. And they actually look like they're potentially the best chicken wings I've ever made. They look great. They're really crisped up well. And so I pull them out, and I'm letting them cool, and then I'm prepping the next batch to put in. And then I can't remember the order of events, but I think I'm putting the next batch in, or maybe I try one, it's super hot coming out of the oven. Don't you have a
Steve Brule?
Steve, I'm gonna fuff. And Luke, I don't know if it was something I did.
Sorry.
No, I don't know if it was something I did. I don't know if it was the recipe was unhinged, or what happened, or maybe I've made a huge mistake in scaling up, you know what I mean? If it was 1 teaspoon of this, I did 2 teaspoons, but I do that all the time. I'm always scaling.
Measure with heart.
Right, Luke. They were so salty. They weren't just this isn't pleasant. They were it was biblical. Somebody is putting
it was the 7th plague that hit Egypt before Pharaoh finally let him go.
I feel like this is coming up a lot.
All of your wings are too salty. I know. I'm still bummed about my firstborn dying, but yes, the wings are really going to be what turns it.
It's like sitting down to this buffet or there's just this feast that just looks so delicious, but then it turns out that the evil king has actually put a spell on it, so it's way too salty. To the degree that it's we've salted the earth. It was so bad.
No chicken wings will ever grow in this oven again.
And I made so many, and now I've got the second
this was the whole batch
cooking.
pretty much?
Yeah, because I had dusted them all. It didn't even occur to me that there could be an issue with this.
It was literally a major disaster.
It was one of the most basic things, and also these were 2 really big batches anyway, and the second one's already in the oven, and the first one is sitting there. And the first one is the buffalo one, so that's kind of, there's no sweetness to offset the saltiness at all anyway. But here's what happens is I'm still kind of hungry at this point, and I'm furious, and
Two bad feelings to have at the same time.
Yes, I guess somebody should come up with something hangry or something. But
Curious.
I'm curious.
Curious George.
I'm curious Jorge. And I'm just I don't know what to do. So I start eating some of the chicken anyway. I'm just oh, this is awful. I'm just good crisp, though. It's
now,
good crisp.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I thought the story was going to be you bite into it and somehow it's uncooked in the middle, which to me seems like the literal major disaster. But it was. Now, you couldn't
Well,
brush.
if that were the case, though,
you could just
the
cook it more.
solution is you would cook it more and you'd be oh, God, that was dangerous. I mean, you don't want to be eating bites of raw chicken. At least that's what they told me on Ask Jeeves. But
but
that would be bad.
You can't wipe this off.
I can't wipe it off, and the other one is in the oven. And even if I could, it is just and it's just again, not oh, this is a little too salty. It is oh, somebody is trying to hurt me with these. But and then this is where the litigation comes in. So I kind of power through on some of them anyway, and I don't know how many I eat. Maybe 5. Let's say somewhere between 5 and 10. Hopefully closer to the 5. Maybe.
I want to be really respectful here with what I'm saying.
Does that sound like a lot?
It seems like a lot to me considering how salty you're describing them as being.
Well, yeah. Because I don't think I ate 10, but I'm like, well, maybe I ate 6 or 7. I don't know.
6.
Like, I ate, you know what I mean? But because what was I going to do? I mean, I guess I could have just dumped them all in the trash right away, which is probably what's going to happen right now. They're sitting in the fridge just haunting me. I know I was just like, maybe they'll be better the next day. Also, my thought is, and here's how I was doing it was, even for the ones that I had cooked in buffalo sauce, I was adding some barbecue sauce to them because I was like, well, at least the sweetness will sort of offset it a little bit. So now what I was doing was standing over the sink, feeling bummed, but also very hungry, kind of brushing barbecue sauce on these other...
Sorry.
I was starving. And anyway, so I'm sort of mitigating it with the barbecue sauce and sort of eating it anyway. But so anyway, now I'm just bummed. I have all the Genevieve came home. She's like, they look great. She's like, they're really that bad. I'm like, you're not gonna want them. She's like, they're really that. She's like, I gotta try one. I'm like, well, try a barbecue one anyway. That'll offset it a little bit. She took one bite and was like, oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Yeah, and she just threw it away. I'm like, yeah, I mean, no, I told you, like, again, but. Because I did sort of power through on these things, like, again, however many I ate standing there, it's salt. So I am immediately just not just full, but bloated.
So thirsty.
Well,
so
thirsty as hell. I almost said something to you to make you laugh. You and I will tell you off air, you and I used to work with a colleague at Cairo Radio who was like the thirstiest MFer I've ever met. Very sweet guy, which is why I don't want to call it out now. But like so thirsty that Genevieve and I will just sometimes invoke his name when we're talking about how thirsty we are. Anyway, I'm that
Dave
thirsty.
Ross.
It's Dave, Dave Ross. Actually, I was going to say the never withholding. Dave was never withholding, but he is definitely not a thirsty man. But I'm so thirsty, but I'm drinking tons of water. I'm like, well, this is good. I'm drinking a lot of water. But I am just so bloated. And here's the deal.
Your body is holding on to every molecule of that water, of course, because your body is one of those, like those salt licks that they drop off in like a field in Montana so that the animals can get their sodium intake. Yeah. That's the interior of your body. And every water molecule that goes in just stays there.
I got one of those attached to my bedpost, by the way. Just wake up in the middle of the night. Just
then you don't have to go all the way to the kitchen.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm all bloated, and also, like, I'm just wired. Like, the thing is, I'm making dinner so early. I will probably just go to bed early tonight. I was like, this is kind of just great. I'll start kind of my wind down way earlier than usual. So Genevieve comes home. I don't know. I've been puttering and eating and grousing in the kitchen now for a little bit. The game is maybe just ending. Actually, I've moved on to the Detroiters. God, that show never not hits. I mean, love that show so much.
I'd put that up in the pantheon with 30 Rock and maybe even more so Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, where I can rewatch an episode multiple times and find something new and delightful.
Yes, exactly. The D2 Roit one was
D2
on.
Roit?
I watched that one. Do you remember the one where his dad escaped from the mental asylum?
Yes, and they have like a wonderful afternoon together.
And he's totally normal the whole time. You're just like, when will the boot ever fall
when's the other
out?
shoe going to drop?
Yeah, it's just that show is just perfect.
It
Jason
really
Sudeikis in several episodes, more episodes than I'd remember. But anyway, so Genevieve comes home. I just have dealt with the whole situation. But the thing is, like, I realized, like, we're chatting a little bit, and then Genevieve's like, well, do you want to go downstairs and play cards? I'm like, yeah, well, we watched, we binged a couple Columbos last night, but we're sitting there, and I realize it's 11:30. I think we played cards until at least 12:30, I think, or maybe midnight. And Genevieve's like, well, I'm going to go to bed pretty soon. And I'm just like, I can't. I'm just like bouncing off the walls from all this salt. And she looked at me. She said, the salt? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, the salt doesn't keep you awake. I'm like, the salt keeps you awake. She's like, no. And I'm just like, you never go to get like on the rare occasion you eat like a fast food meal or something like that, and then like your heart's a little bit fast afterwards. She's like, no, that's not healthy, my dude. Like, that's bad. And I'm kind of like, so salt doesn't have that effect on you, where I'm not saying that every time I eat a burger I feel like I'm going to go into cardiac arrest, but is it not a common thing that sometimes too much salt might have you bouncing off the walls?
I don't know if I've heard about it in that particular kind of or that effect happening, but certainly I can relate to eating a bunch of really. First of all, I just probably still intake too much sodium as it is, so my resting sodium rate is probably way too high. I have not been able to break that habit. So, but I can. Here's what I can identify with that you're describing is you eat a bunch of really salty stuff, particularly maybe even more in my in my days of just really extreme drinking of getting really drunk and then eating a lot of really just fast food late at night, something just super duper heavy in salt, and then just kind of feeling this woo 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 in my head of sodium and bloatedness and all of those things. But it's difficult in those moments for me to decouple that from probably also being kind of drunk. I have not heard that salt keeps you up. And I will point out one thing, and I promise I'm not trying to throw shade here, but we did on Monday talk about how you had stayed up too late because of the clocks. So I feel like one night it's the clocks, one night it's the salt. What's it going to be tonight?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe just good old-fashioned alcoholism.
All right.
Who knows?
Well,
maybe it'll
good
be
to
a
mix it up.
simple one. Yeah, it'll be a shorter story, yet somehow a longer tale.
How do you feel? Let me ask you this. Did that dissipate? When you got up this morning, that feeling you were having of the maybe a little bit of kind of not, I don't want to say palpitations. I do not want to terrify the listeners, but that kind of sped up feeling, whatever you're describing it, is that gone now?
Well, I woke up. I had about 10 more wings. And we're back, baby. No, I'm not. I actually thought, so Genevieve calls it soup face, and this is more her story to tell.
Okay.
But she said, oh, you're going to have soup face tomorrow. And I think that happened, that was originated because she went camping with a bunch of friends or something, and the night before in the cabin or something, they just had to stop at the general store, and they just, what was there? Was
cans and cans of soup.
Cans of pre-made soup, and so they all had a can of soup, and it was way more salt than they usually have, or something along those lines. And they said that the next day they were all puffy or whatever. Maybe that night they were puffy, and they called it soup face. So Genevieve's like, you're going to have soup face tomorrow. If I do have soup face, I can't see myself. I don't look different to me. But
you look normal. Although there's
don't
something going
feel
on
any different
with your light.
What is going on? I just looked at that for the first time.
You're bathed in blue, my boy.
Oh, you know what? I think that's an issue with. Well, hopefully, don't anybody say anything funny during this episode because I don't want this going on the internet. Yeah, for some reason, every now and then when I fire up my camera, the software puts this blue on it.
That's actually an interesting segue into this art thing that I was at last night, because they had a whole bunch of different immersive experiences, which I don't know. I've been to some places where they're like, this is immersive art, and you go in and you're kind of a little underwhelmed. That was not the case with this place, Hopscotch in Portland. It was kind of incredible, really, really interesting, well-designed stuff where you enter this room and it kind of blows your mind. But they had these 3 rooms next to each other that you could, there were 3 little kind of distinct pods, I guess. One of them was this crazy green light that kind of it made everything a little more green. It's very hard to describe, and I'm bad with this stuff anyway. One was a blue room and one was a red room, and you'd go in there by yourself or with other people, and there was something about the way the light was playing that it just shifted your whole kind of perspective for some reason. It was an odd experience. And back to that thing that I'm talking about of I'm trying to appreciate art or interact with art that I don't even know if I like it or not, but it's changing my kind of feeling. Hey, there you go. You're back to
a little bit.
Back to looking.
Not quite. Whatever. I changed the setting on a lamp in here, but go ahead.
The coolest thing so they had a room that was looked basically kind of like you just looked, but even more sort of crazy. They had this room at this place, Hopscotch, that was, first of all, I just walked into it, and it was all of these kind of flowers, kind of, how do I describe it? They were obviously not real flowers, and in fact, they weren't even supposed to look like real flowers. They were sort of almost 2-dimensional, big kind of art cutouts of different things that were flowers and different items that were all flat against this wall. I mean, they were technically 3-dimensional. They were maybe an inch or 2 off of the wall, but just imagine a bunch of different router cut things. And and they were colorful and kind of cool. And I walked in, I was like, okay, I guess that's what this is. Whatever.
Are they? And they're casting little shadows because they're.
There's a little shadow around yeah, because they're coming out of the wall, off of the wall a bit. But I thought that was the thing, and I thought And it's funny because it was actually like the plaque outside was like, this is from an artist in Seattle. And I thought, wow, you really repped Seattle poorly. In fact, you know what? This is totally like the experience I had when I went to the Biennale in Venice many, many years ago, where I went to the U.S. installation and I totally misunderstood the art of it. I thought that the guy had just put a piece of styrofoam in the corner. And I went around for years being like, well, that was some bullshit. And then found out later it was made out of solid gold and was a kind of an interesting thing. Well, I go in this room, I look around, I'm like, okay, I guess this room is about some kind of flat, big, oversized flowers and other little objects, TVs and stuff. Okay. So I turn around to leave, and some other people have come in the room, and all of a sudden they push a button, and I realize, oh, in the middle of the room there's this kind of rectangular bench sort of thing that has maybe like 10 or 15 buttons on top, and they don't have any labels on them. And you push one of them, and like they're just, you push one, and it's like just got a woman going like, I'm happy. And then you push another one, and it's like, just does like a crazy beat, but that works perfectly with what the woman is saying. And then you could just push a different button at totally random. It starts playing some really catchy piece of music that perfectly aligns with the drop and with the beat that's going on. And then you could take your finger off of the lady who's saying, I'm happy. You could push something else. All of these sound effects and all of these different pieces of music were set up so you couldn't mess it up. If that makes any sense, you couldn't like put a beat that was then kind of like stepping on the other beat in a way that kind of ruined it. You couldn't, like, anything you hit. And then there's like groups of people. So there's like someone's pressing these two buttons. And then like, oh, and by the way, all the stuff on the walls is lighting up. It's all got some kind of like LED sort of digital something built into it. So it's like the flower is kind of pulsating in the middle when you're hitting the button that makes the flower. I don't know what the flower was saying, but you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Everything on this wall that I thought was just kind of basically sort of two-dimensional. Would that be one-dimensional or two? If you painted it on the wall, would that be that would be
two-dimensional? Yeah.
Well, then what's one-dimensional?
I think it'd be a line.
Oh. Well, all of the stuff that was on the wall, I didn't realize that it had like this cool stuff embedded in it. So all of a sudden it's like I'm standing around. Eventually Becca and Scott and Tiff came through and we did it like towards the end of the night. But I'm just standing there with some like people that I don't even really know that well, because this was like a live wire event. And we're just like all pressing these buttons and making this like a joyful, like actually very cool sound. Like it made me actually, it lowered my opinion of the band The Gorillaz. Because I was like, oh, anybody could be Gorillaz. Just come in this room and press this.
Do you use them as an example because of that new record that's out? It's weird how much I've been listening to that new record.
Well, I use that because I saw a guy on TikTok that said, I'm going to write a Gorillaz song in 2 minutes. And then he did, and he broke it. And it was actually like, I like them, by the way. I mean, I wouldn't say that I know all their music. I know the stuff off of, you know, the early stuff and the Clint Eastwood and the kind of really famous. Actually, I really like... Do they do Up on Melancholy Hill? Is that Gorillaz too, I think?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with their whole catalog. I knew like maybe those two bigger albums back in the 2000s that you sort of referenced. And then for some reason, this is just how marketing works. Something was served to me in the, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, just saying, hey, the new Gorillaz album is coming out. Here's a trailer for it. And they kept releasing trailers for it. And I've always sort of been into the mystique of it anyway.
I'm a sucker for the animation of that whole
so
thing.
Then I was like, oh, okay. And then suddenly it was on my radar. And then suddenly it's like, do you want to know when this comes out? I'm like, yeah, Spotify, tell me. So then like I got a notification. It was just like one of those weird things. It's not like I'm usually out there seeking out Gorillaz content, but they did a good job of making sure I knew about this so that it felt like a thing when it dropped. And then I've listened to it a bunch. And I actually, on I think Friday or Saturday night, I listened to it. It's a very long record that I listened to a bunch of times in a row. But anyway, I wasn't sure if that's why it was top of mind for you.
I'm also getting a ton of that same kind of marketing push has sort of worked on me, at least in terms of awareness. Like I was all of a sudden in TikTok, I was just getting like clips of them playing live shows, which they're touring again to support the album. And then Damon Albarn doing like interviews. And then because this is now how content works, Andrew, I'm getting all this Gorillaz stuff. And then the next wave of it, second wave Gorillazism, which is the main one that I practice. That was a second wave feminism joke, and it didn't really land. But anyway,
we knew
it's
we knew we understood.
Well, so then the next wave of it. So I'm seeing all this Gorillaz stuff is now a guy, this British guy, going. I think he was British, going like watch me make a Gorillaz song in 2 minutes, and And I like Gorillaz. I like the music because why? It's catchy, but it has these like reliable elements. And when you see somebody kind of like, and this guy wasn't trying to be a jerk. He wasn't like, I don't like them. Let me like, you know, I'm gonna own these guys. It was just like, hey, these are the elements of one of these songs, and it was crazy because he did it all just with like free existing. You know, he was like, I need to find this kind of a beat or whatever, and he's got like a synth or something. So he gets to kind of a beat really quick, and then he goes, okay, and then I'm gonna do this, and then as he's doing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is all stuff that's in every one of their songs. And he's like, oh, I found this like whatever you call it, like rights free. He's like, I found this rights free rap.
Do you put phone distortion on the vocals?
Totally. Yeah. And he's just piecing it together and then like a minute and 20 seconds later in the video, he's just playing this song. And I'm like, I would 1,000% have believed that that's the fourth track off of the new Gorillaz record. Because he's done that process, like you said, that kind of phone distortion on the voice. And then it's the kind of beat that they do, which is cool, and the kind of whatever. And then the phone talking voice, and then the rap, the not particularly challenging rap that comes in that sounds kind of like a, you know, Del the Funky Homo Sapien kind of style rap. So unfortunately, that video has now caused me to think I could be in Gorillaz, because when I was at Hopscotch Art last night and I'm pressing these things and these beats are happening, and then there's kind of cool, again, actually very cool music clips that they had assembled to make this thing happen. We're making this music, and I'm just like, I literally said, I think to my friend Melanie, who's a producer on LiveWire, I said, hey, we're Gorillaz. So, but all that is to say, that thing Hopscotch in Portland is very cool. If people are out, they had this other thing.
It'd be amazing if you really were one of the Gorillas. We'll never know. What if this
you
whole
think I'd be able to keep that under my hat, broski?
That would be the worst. That'd be the worst.
I mean, what a you want to talk about a living art project? Can you imagine if I was in Gorillaz and I had somehow not at some point bragged about it?
Yeah, right. How many bands are there that I think of the Gorillas and the Residents? Are there other bands where we don't really know who's in them?
But we know who's in them because it's the guy from Blur, Damon Albarn, right?
That's one of them. But I thought do we know all the people in Gorillas? I always thought.
Well, we know Del the Funky Homo Sapien. We know Damon Albarn.
Del is not in the Gorillas. He was featured on some Gorillas songs.
Well, I guess
like he's not on the new record or anything like that. Del the Funky Homo Sapien was on like a few songs, maybe 3 songs back in the early 2000s. He wasn't a member of the Gorillas.
Well, I guess what I mean is when the 2 lead guys are doing a bunch of interviews with their names under it, it feels to me like it's not top secret.
Okay. See, I'm not arguing. I literally didn't know. I thought that the Gorillas was a rotating cast of people who we didn't know who they were. In fact, maybe what you just said explained it a little bit to me, because I saw a promo for them being on Saturday Night Live last weekend, and there were 2 guys silently standing there, but they didn't. So I see. So it is a virtual band, but we know it's David Albarn and Jamie Hewlett.
Damon Albarn. So he was the guy in Blur. Okay. Remember?
Okay. Woohoo! Yeah, I always remember there was a connection there. Okay, and then
they were always fighting with Oasis back in the day. It was like Blur versus Oasis,
and Oasis versus Oasis as well.
That was a big. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was going to go longer. I'm pulling a total Andrew, by the way.
You're eating too much salt. A little.
I've got orange face.
You got orange face.
I've got soup face. No, I picked up. I went to Costco last week. It's already now 4 days ago, but I went to Costco over the weekend and grabbed a thing of those cuties, and I have just been absolutely going to town. But you know what, Andrew? Isn't it weird how like things that we say to each other in passing on this show will just continue to reverberate in our own heads?
Sometimes especially food related.
For better or for worse. You asked me about these little cuties, or are they satsumas? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I think satsumas, but I don't know. I think they're the same. I use them.
You asked me very casually one time, what's the normal amount of those to grab? And I think I said 2. And every time that I'm reaching into this mesh netting of them, I sometimes want to grab 3, but I can't, because I am on the record as saying 2 is the normal amount to grab. So that is dictating my behavior.
How does it feel to you, though? Are you in? Because I am a 3.
I think 2 is actually the right amount, but I want to take 3.
I always take 3. I think almost always. Yeah.
These are really good ones, though. They've also got those. I forget what Becca calls them. I mean, I think they're called the sumos because they have the little like kind of top knot on them.
Those are.
I think she calls those elite oranges.
They are.
She has. If I should actually text her. I don't want to besmirch her good name, but she is a person who will return food to the grocery store.
Yeah, you've mentioned that. Yeah,
sometimes, which is like a very. if you knew her, if you observed her in the world, if you saw her enter a room, you just wouldn't go, that's a person who's taken cottage cheese back. You just wouldn't expect it. But I don't know if she's taken, I think she might have taken some of those sumos back because they're very expensive.
They are. They're here in, because I've been keeping an eye on them because there's actually kind of a season for those. And the season started maybe about a month ago or something. Everybody was very excited about the sumos coming out.
Yeah.
And around here, it's hard to find them for less than $3.99 a pound. And because the skin is so like hefty on those things, those things average out about a pound a piece. So those are like $4 oranges essentially.
Right. So that's why, like, and the other thing I've said this about Bex as well, because she eats a very consistent diet. She has this particular kind of like salad thing that she makes for a lot of her meals. And is like, honestly, whenever there's a story about grocery prices, she should be the person they're interviewing because she knows what a blueberry costs. I don't mean a thing of blueberries. Like, and she'll constantly be like, you're not going to believe what they charged me for a banana today. And
Well, it's $10.
I 100% start channeling Lucille Bluth like I'm Jay-Z Knight channeling Ramtha, the 10,000-year-old warrior. I go like, it's a banana. What could it be? $10. That's what Ramtha's voice sounds like, by the way. But yeah, no, she knows.
No, you're not, Lucille.
Hey, now that's a solid spoof. But anyway, yeah. So all that is to say, would recommend checking out this hopscotch thing in Portland. If you're, there was one other thing I just wanted to, that was a way to power out or not even power up. That was a way to be done and to move on to the donors. But there was this room of this different immersive art stuff they had there that just had like, I'm terrible with the dimensions, but I'm going to say this was like a 30 by 30 room, a 30-foot by 30-foot room or something. And it just had all of these light strings hanging down. But they weren't like those Edison bulb ones that we're used to. They were clearly coated in enough plastic that you could walk between these hanging strings of lights without breaking them or messing them up. Like it was designed, it was rows and rows of these hanging strings of lights. And they were all like plugged into the same system so that the light could move vertically. It could move from top to bottom. It could move from left to right. It could move up independently within each string. And so much like those drone shows and things where you just like it is shocking what can be coordinated now digitally, if that makes any sense. This was just like a pulsating room of light that moved in a way that I had never experienced. It was like being inside of like one of those drone shows where all of the things are doing, the lights moving and undulating and going up and down and around, but you could just walk around inside. I went in there like 4 times. Like it was like a drug trip minus the drugs. It was super duper cool. So anyway, would recommend cutie oranges, but only 2. And that place Hopscotch in Portland.
We was hoping for some razzle-dazzle.
Razzle-dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle-dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle-dazzle.
All right, let's thank the dazzling donors. These are the people keeping us in cuties money. And wings money, even when that doesn't work out. The fact that this is our job for Andrew and I and for John Sklaroff is only because of the support of the listeners. This is 100% listener support of what we're doing here. And we want to start off thanking Jim Akbina, who's in New York City.
Jim.
I am very sure that I have been just brutally, much like Andrew pulling those chicken parts apart in his kitchen, I've been brutally butchering Jim's last name for years, and now I finally have a good pronouncer on it. Thank you, Jim. Jim Akbina says, hello, business boys. Do you know who enjoys TBTL more than I do? My dog, Smiley. Fun fact, the moment I turn on TBTL in the afternoon, Smiley wakes up from his deep slumber and runs under the sink in the guest bathroom to do his little dance to Ben Lee and the opening intro tape. I shared a video with John. Excuse me?
Cute.
Excuse you? Sklaroff? You've been sitting on this content, or did you send it to me and I forgot? Have we seen this? Have you seen this video, Andrew?
I don't think so. I've read this sentence, though, and I've been picturing it because I do want to say, Jim, we've been hanging on to this voicemail, or this message, I should say, this Blur's Day message. Why can't I say the word dazzling donor? Off air, I refer to these as Blur's Days a lot,
too many D's, dude.
Too many D's. But I wanted to say that we're reading this specifically today for a reason. So I was familiar with the description of this dog in a certain way, and this is not to be disrespectful, but a certain way. I don't even know if I want to see the video because I have it cemented in my imagination what it looks like.
The AI version that your eye made is far superior. No, I really want to see this, and like for all the work-related crapola that John sends us, he gets a video of this dog vibing to our show, and again, it's also very possible he sent it to me and I didn't click on the link, so I can't act mad at John. He's usually much more thorough about stuff than I am. But anyway, I love that this exists because I feel like it's hit and miss with the pets. As you've talked about, Andrew, when Bingo hears your podcasting voice, he generally is ready to leave at that point, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and definitely Bubbles, for all of her, let's say, neurodivergence, did not seem to be particularly interested. So I like that at least we got Smiley in our corner.
Yeah.
Jim says, earlier this year, we found a small growth on Smiley that turned out to be a tumor. Long story short, we got rid of that little sucker ASAP, and thank heavens it was benign. What this means, however, that was while Smiley was recovering from his surgery, he was unable to do his little TBTL dance. Instead, he would roll on his side and wiggle on his heating pad in the living room. I can't. My heart. Either it's too much sodium or this message, because it's grown 3 sizes, Andrew.
Could be both.
He was unable to do his little dance. Instead, I already read that part. This dazzling message is dedicated to the best and bravest boy ever, Smiley, who turns 12 this year. Again, I don't mean to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, but I'm shocked that I haven't got eyes on this Smiley content.
Now, I want to say, so I guess this wasn't part of the actual message, but I guess we knew through backdoor intelligence, Luke, that Smiley's birthday is actually this Sunday, March 15th. So that is why we are reading this on today, the holiest of Blur's days.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a little, this is now we're not going to, I don't think we're going to wish Smiley a Blur's Day, because is that also a violation of the rules?
That is a violation
of the
Blur's Days. We do not do pet
It's
Blur's
only for
days.
humans.
We do not do pet Blur's Days.
We will
I'm
not listen
tapping
to your
the
dreams.
sign.
We're not saints.
Exactly.
You listen to our dreams because you are saints.
That's right. If you want to do, but this is actually a perfect. This is this is a perfect example. If you want to wish your pet a happy Blur's Day, the way to do it is through a dazzling donor message.
Yes, I'm texting. I'm emailing John. Hey, did we get a video of Dazzler's dog? By the way, yeah, that you're behind the curtain. But it's what we call you, Jim. We call you Dazzlers.
It's
of
a proud
Dazzler's
club.
Dog dancing. Ooh, you want to talk about a lot of C's?
Yes, a lot
Did
of
we get a
Ds.
video of a Dazzler's dog dancing? To
Dido.
TBTL? To Dido. Can you, if you haven't, see, this is what I have to do because he probably did. If you haven't, can you send along?
It might be something that he even linked to in the original dazzling donor sheet, and maybe it's my fault you're not seeing it.
Both of you are so much more detail oriented than I am. I'm pretty certain this is still somehow on me, honestly. Jim says, also, shout out to Road Dogs Rescue, who rescue and rehabilitate French bulldogs. Oh, Smiley is a French bulldog? Come on. Cute little dogs. And
that's how Smiley fits underneath the sink.
Right.
Okay.
That's a good point. If Smiley were like a Great Dane, that would, even a okay Dane, too big for under the sink. Other short-nosed dog breeds, a.k.a. lovable lemons, please consider donating to their cause at roaddogs.org. Roaddogs.org is for the rescue organization that rescues short-nosed dogs. Oh, my God. Andrew, do not, under any circumstances, and I'm being very serious when I say this, do not click on roaddogs.org because you will cancel your trip to Hawaii.
And we'll just get a dog right away.
Yeah, you'll be like, sorry, we're getting a road dog tomorrow. Hawaii can wait.
Yes. In fact, I am remembering this now. I am pretty sure that Jim maybe shouted out this organization
I do.
last
This also
year,
rings a
'cause
bell.
now I'm looking at this website and it looks very familiar. These dogs are just
Oh my
too
God.
adorable.
I love calling them little lemons too. That's actually on the
Yeah,
website. I
I
thought
remember
maybe
that,
Jim
yeah.
had invented that, but like
Look at
give
Ellis.
a home to
Look at
to
Ellis
a little.
Earnshaw. Are you down there?
Well, you're clearly not paying attention to Emery Starling
I skipped Emery.
or Ginger Mary Mittens.
Oh my God! Oh, there's Emery. Yes. Oh my goodness.
God. No, dude,
gracious.
these are ridiculous. Also, I mean, not to get into like a, I don't want to get. How do I talk about this without getting weird? I know that French bulldogs are an extremely desired extremely desired breed. See, that's the exact problem. They're not. They're not a brand. They're an animal that's alive, and you know, they're like very, very, very popular dog. People love them. They do well with like apartment living and stuff, and they're adorable as all get out. I think it's really interesting. Like my point is, my sense is if you go to a breeder and get a purebred French bulldog, it's not an insignificant cost. So it's very interesting to me to see a 10-month-old incredibly cute French bulldog that is now been rescued.
Yeah,
You wonder what the story on that is. But
waiting.
anyway,
Yeah.
Jim, thank you so much for supporting the program, and thank you also for keeping us up on Smiley's, life developments. And we'll, if we get the video back by the end of the show of Smiley dancing, I will give you my real-time reaction, like a TikTok video. Podcaster reaction real-time to first time seeing Smiley dance.
Happy
Would be good
Blur's Day
content.
to Smiley.
Yeah, happy Blur's Smiles. Maestro?
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
Look who it is. It's the coolest name in TBTL. Keith Stone.
Keith Stone.
Grab my stones. Keith is in Libertyville, Illinois. And I know that, Andrew, because Keith has been a supporter and friend of the show for many years. But you know how I also know it? Because recently when I was walking out of what I call the Bruce Wayne alley at Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me in Chicago, I call it that because it is right out of the Batman movies of the alley that Bruce Wayne's parents are walking in when they are, unfortunately, taken from him and from this earth.
Now, again, I'm picturing your pearls hitting the ground in slow motion.
And Andrew, like, it's got steam coming up. It's narrow. It's got fire escapes. It's sketchy. And it is, anyway, we had done Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. This was a couple trips ago. And I'm walking out the back door of the theater, and I'm coming through Batman Alley. I'm coming through Bruce Wayne Alley. And as I get to the end of it, who do I run into but Keith and his wonderful wife? They had come to see Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And we chopped it up and we chatted it up. And I got an invite. To Libertyville, Illinois for dinner.
To see the shop?
Well, that's the other thing. This is what Keith says. Check out my Instagram. And he says, I'm keeping it short and sweet this year. Check out my Instagram and reach out if you have any custom leather requests. Because, of course, Keith is the person behind Stonecraft Leather Goods. And he's been doing this for years now.
I was
And it's
literally
incredible.
I was thinking of Keith, no joke, like, I don't know, 3 days ago, I was cooking in the kitchen. I don't remember what I was cooking, but this one turned out okay, thanks to Keith. But I was using a little, I'm trying to think of what you call it. It was like my cast iron skillet handle holder. So he made a Too Beautiful to Live leather shield that you can slip over the handle of your cast iron skillet so that the handle, you can touch it even when the skillet is getting hot. And I use that a lot.
I mean, there's so much cool stuff over at Stonecraft Leather Goods. It's Stonecraft_leather_goods. And I'm be honest with you, I think I'm going to have to take the Stones of Libertyville, Illinois, up on this offer to go out there and have some dinner maybe next time I'm out there. You know, I'm actually going to be on Wait, Wait for Bill Curtis's final episode. You know, he's retiring, stepping away from his announcerly duties.
Can I want to just, you might have said this, but it might have just been confusing in the copy. Either way, I just want to be very clear about that. That Stonecraft _ leather _ goods is how you find the Instagram page for Keith's
Thank
store.
you. I don't think I said
But
that.
then if you want to go to the website, it's just Stonecraft no spaces.com as well. So there's a website as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I did not specify that. It's incredible stuff.
It really is. I mean, it's incredibly beautiful. Just
Yes. Definitely go check it out. And Keith, thank you so much. I'll see you for dinner.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
Well, my top story, Andrew, from my life of this week has been I've jumped back into the Stephen Conrad verse, and I'm liking it. He, of course, is the guy who made Patriot and also Perpetual Grace Unlimited, and now this new show, DTF St. Louis, which I didn't realize I was seeing it. It's got Jason Bateman in it. It's got Linda Cardellini, who I friggin' love.
Yeah, she's great.
And it's got David Harbour, who was like from Stranger Things and stuff in it. And I was sort of seeing it. It's weird. Like, there's just so many shows that get made, and it's weird the ones that I don't. Maybe it's just a more effective marketing or something. But every once in a while, you'll just kind of have a vague sense that something is like a new show is happening, and you're not can't quite tell why you know it. But I was hearing about this DTF St. Louis thing, and it was and I was, I to be honest with you, and again, this is something we may need to take up with Stephen at some point, because I still consider us to be close personal friends. We've got to work on the naming, because DTF St. Louis would not make me go watch a show. Somebody emailed me, a listener said, "Do you know that's a Stephen Conrad joint?" And then I was like, well, now I will absolutely watch it. I feel like this was an issue with the TV show Patriot. Is that it's maybe one of the best television shows ever made, with a name that does not necessarily drive people like me to want to go watch it.
In the middle one that you just said literally 2 minutes ago, I already can't remember. I've never
Perpetual
watched
Grace
it. Yeah,
Unlimited.
that one isn't necessarily a bad name, but I just can never remember it.
Yeah, and I think it might be. I'm not even sure if I'm getting that. It might be limited or is it unlimited? No, because it had.
No,
like,
I know what you mean. Like, it's just funny. It's like
because it's LTD. It's actually
limited.
Perpetual Grace, limited.
Yeah,
that's what I mean though. It's like, Stephen, we're gonna need someone else to name the shows. You have a lot of skills, but you're like Shaquille O'Neal shooting a free throw. You're great in every other facet of the game, but we are going to have somebody else come in and shoot the free throws for you, and that is naming.
I do think it also speaks to him a desire not to give into mainstream.
Well, it's exactly what we did with the name of this show.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we were ever going to be mainstream, but yes, it's a stubborn, although Patriot, you could argue that the name Patriot.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other thing.
I mean, it has layers of meaning.
Yeah, that sounds more like it would be actually for mass appeal. You could see somebody, throwing an American flag like a javelin towards some sort of I'm sure, Middle Eastern terrorist or something, in some sort of very broad...
Art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life.
Right.
That's what I think we're talking about there. So this show is, and I'm not giving anything away, but basically Jason Bateman is a meteorologist in St. Louis. And he's I think he's sort of like the, he's the popular, he's on the billboards and stuff, and he's like the guy that everybody knows. And then David Harbour is actually a guy who has sort of, I think, done a lot of different things in his life. He's I think, still trying to find his ultimate purpose for a period of time. He gets really into being an ASL interpreter for events. So, that thing that's kind of become viral over the last few years of like people signing at like hip hop shows and stuff. And it's always like really fun to watch the person who's doing the interpreting, kind of like how they just uniquely are sort of translating what's happening, on the stage. And then also a lot of times where you have public officials talking and then you'd have somebody signing next to them. And in this case, David Harbour is assigned to sign for Jason Bateman's character during a storm that's on live TV. And this, again, isn't really ruining anything, but David Harbour kind of like sort of saves Jason Bateman a little bit. Like there's a stop sign that becomes picked up in this windstorm and kind of almost hits him. Anyway, so they become friends. And then, the show goes on. And what I like about this, well, first of all, what I like about the show is that Stephen Conrad's writing remains just so kind of unique. and the way that he uses dialogue and the way that he just has people repeat things in ways that are not naturalistic, but that totally work in the scene. And what I really like about it is different than, say, Patriot, I guess maybe a little bit more like Perpetual Grace Limited, is it's a mystery. This is like an actual, it's like I'm genuinely like curious about what's going to happen next on the plot, which to me, maybe with Patriot that was some of it, but also it was just like the show itself. This one is, I mean, I really don't know how this is all going to end. And what's actually very clever about the show, because this is the HBO thing where they only do like one episode a week, you know? So of course I like jumped in with both feet, and that meant I got to watch a total of 2 episodes or something. I think maybe episode 3 is out or coming out later this week. But like 3/4 of the way through episode 1, I was like, oh, I already know this story. I already know what happens. I already know who done it. It's very obvious. And of course, as the show has progressed, my opinion of who I'm very sure did it has changed 4 times now. So it's very like it's like I'm personally very invested in the mystery side of it too. And then you've just got the Stephen Conrad writing, the acting, and the acting is really good. Although I do feel at this point, and look, I don't blame him for this, but like Jason Bateman, it's just so Jason Bateman and everything. Now maybe there's, I guess, like what the biggest departure Jason Bateman's ever made from being Jason Bateman would be in Dodgeball. I think he plays like he plays the color commentary announcer during the Dodgeball games. And he's like a total, like kind of like a California kind of stonery dude or something, which, by the way, when I saw that, I thought, stay in your lane, Bateman. This isn't for you. You're not good at this. So maybe I just want Jason Bateman to always be Jason Bateman. But it's like, it is, when I see Jason Bateman in something like this, it is very much that, he's Michael Bluth, right? In Arrested?
He's Michael Bluth. Yeah, I was going to ask you.
He's very much been plucked out of Arrested Development and placed into DTF St. Louis.
Is that what he's doing in Ozark, too? Is he kinda...
Yes, kind of. I mean,
I've never seen it.
I watched the first season. Actually, the color that your screen was when we first dialed up is the color of every episode of Ozark.
Yeah.
Ozark is the bluest color, I think is the record.
Good. That's a show.
But yeah, no, I watched the first season of Ozark. And again, I
heard
like
the first
Jason
season
Bateman.
of that show was great.
Yes, I was really I was pretty locked in. But again, I'm not blaming him for this because I really like Jason Bateman and I like him in stuff, but it's just kind of funny to watch him just do scenes where it's like I almost kind of know how he's going to say the line. Like he's on the phone with his wife and something's happened and it's just kind of one of those like, well, hope it doesn't come to that or
Yeah,
you're just like
right.
it's just so Bateman and that
Like
I guess
a perpetual sense of like sort of like wincing because things aren't going quite his way.
Perpetual wince unlimited.
Yes.
I think is right. And again, this I don't know why I have to go to the negative because it's not lowering my level of enjoyment of watching the show at all. It's just that I had this moment of thinking like if you gave me this line and then you said do this in a Bateman, I would be like I would have a sense of the sort of outline of how to say this because we've seen him say these kinds of lines so many times and it is always a kind of like all right, if you want to do that, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which is also just kind of an incredible thing to think about the arc of Jason Bateman's career. Like kind of teen star, literally Teen Wolf 2.
And also, I think of him first from his early TV shows, like Growing Pains. Wasn't he?
Oh yeah, one of those. I always kind of like confuse those kind of.
I don't
big,
think I think I've got that wrong, but yeah.
Those big sitcoms that were so kind of ubiquitous in the monoculture. But yeah, he was in one of those. Was he? No, was he in the 8 is Enough, or was he in the one was Sandy Duncan, his mom? I think
you're
Sandy
right. I'm way off on that. I wouldn't have guessed that. Hogan's Family is the one
Hogan's
that he was
Family.
On. Okay, yeah.
Hogan. Yeah, it would have been funny if there was more crossover in those shows.
It was right there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, a real opportunity missed. But I mean, to think about Jason Bateman's career is so fascinating because he's, was like, and all you need to know is that he was Teen Wolf 2. In other words, he wasn't like he wasn't Michael J. Fox levels, but he was the guy that when Michael J. Fox wouldn't do the follow-up movie or couldn't do the follow-up movie, they were like, okay, this guy. But he was always just kind of, sort of. I mean, you were literally first on the call sheet for that movie, but he was not like he was a famous guy, but also he wasn't Michael J. Fox or whatever. And then by his own description, he had some like career struggles. He had some substance abuse, and he got sober. And then like my sense of it is that like Arrested Development really, and maybe just because that's a show I'm obsessed with, but like that really seemed to be reintroducing him into the pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying he wasn't working at all before that. I don't know what his IMDb looks like, but that definitely seemed like a career refresh to me anyway.
I think you're right.
And then the fact that he probably makes the majority of his money podcasting.
Yeah, right. Still never
Like
listened to a single episode of that show.
It's good.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure it's very
It's what
good.
we do, but I guess better. I mean, it's like, I have a very complicated relationship with the idea of that podcast because when it sort of first emerged, so many people told me about it. They're like, oh, you got to listen to Smartless. You would love it. And I did, and it is good, and I do like it. I think I just have a sort of resentment because it's like, you are three very famous people who have all made a tidy living for yourselves doing other stuff, and now you're going to sit in a room and just be friends and do interviews, and Obama's going to go on it, and then Spotify's going to cut you a check for $200 million. And I do not have the equanimity to not take some of that personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, I mean, well, the chat style shows, which we are producing one,
literally founded the idea of
right. You have to find your relationship with them anyway, even if you and I didn't do one. And there are feelings that are attached to that do make it hard, even if it's not something you want to admit to or that I want to admit to, or it's not like I don't have any hard feelings towards those three men. I've never listened to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Now that show is really
but then
good.
the weird thing is like here's the deal with me in podcasts too, though. Like, there's for me a barrier of like, am I going to get into this now? Am I going to dial this up? Whereas if I'm in the car and satellite radio is just serving it up to me, I'll absolutely stay on it for a while. So I've now heard a little bit of Conan O'Brien show driving around. Oh, okay, I'm flipping through the channels. Oh, this is on the comedy. I think that's Comedy Central, whatever it's on. No, it's on Conan O'Brien's own channel. And so you'll listen to it.
Right.
And it's like, oh, yeah, this is great. Everybody told me it's great. But like, I never was at home being like, I'm ready for a new podcast. Am I going to start Conan now? Am I going to start Smartless now? Like, I have a weird barrier about that. And then you add on this level also of just like, oh, yeah, this is what we do, only a zillion times more successful. Like, maybe that pulls me away from it a little bit, too.
I mean, here's where I'm going to here's where I'm going to give us a little bit of credit, where credit may or may not be due. I don't think they're better at it than we are. They are more famous, and they have on more famous guests. And because of this kind of sort of virtuous cycle of that, they then got a lot of people listening to it who probably didn't listen to a lot of chat podcasts before. I think if you plugged you and me into that same world, and we threw one more friend on, and we were already like very famous people, but somehow we're still ourselves. I don't know how this whole thing is starting to kind of wobble. But the point is, like, I think Dax Shepard is good at his show. I think the guys on Smartless are good at their show. I think Conan is I do think Conan on his show is, when I listen to that, I'm like that I probably couldn't do as well as he does it. But a lot of these chat shows, and again, I don't mean this as like, I don't mean to be sour about it, but what's weird to me is like when I watch a Seahawks game, I see people doing something I cannot do. When I watch a movie, I see Leo DiCaprio doing something in one battle after another that I couldn't do. I certainly see Benicio del Toro doing something I couldn't do. And although I can have a few small beers, I am capable of that much. We are truly more powerful than we think. But when I watch the guys doing Smartless or listen to it or watch the documentary about them doing their chat show, I think me and Andrew could do that. We could do it. It's just you have to get to this level of fame that they're at where people are naturally interested in whatever it is you're doing, and then these huge guests. And the same thing, by the way, with, and I love her, I really do, Amy Poehler's show, Good Hang, which won the Golden Globe. To whatever degree we believe in that as an award for podcasting. That is a really good show. Amy Poehler is a great interviewer and has really great relationships with a lot of people I'm interested in. So I really enjoy that show. It is well done. I do not think that Amy Poehler is a fundamentally different person than you or I would be doing that interview show. I just think that she is funny and quick on her feet and has a lot of really funny, famous, and so the show is good. I guess there are the shows that I hear, like I was listening to this podcast called Articles of Interest, made by this woman named Avery Trufelman. She was on Livewire last night. It is, I think, one of the best podcasts happening for years and years, where she takes, it's not about clothing so much as it's about like all of these interesting pieces of history and weird stories and like coincidences and all these things that are viewed through the lens of like, why does the army jacket look like that? Well, Andrew, part of it is because they got this whole panel of people together at World War I because all the jackets were too long and getting wet, and these people came together and like had this crazy design plan, and they ended up with what we think of as like the army jacket.
I would have loved to seen that like runway debut.
Well, it's actually, I could tell you even more about it, Andrew. That was called the M43, and the thing was, the guy who was in charge of that project, who didn't even care about clothes, he was at Harvard. He was a finance guy, but because it was World War I, he was like drafted to run the project of like, we have to get a better coat. So he gets together all of these scientists and soldiers, and he does all this like very scientifically rigorous thing for this coat, and it's great. But there's this other quartermaster named Little John who thinks that you should, when you're wearing an army jacket, you should look like an army guy. And his idea of army guy is different. And he thinks that these jackets that are actually functional and better for a million reasons, they don't look army enough to him. They don't look put together enough. And so he is refusing to let this jacket, the M43, out to the wider military population. And you have guys who are like freezing. They're like overseas freezing, and they're writing their parents from the front lines going, we're freezing, we have no coats. And their parents are writing their congressmen. And it's on the cover of the New York Times. It's called like the winter problem because there are not enough coats because these two quartermasters are fighting about what coat it should be. All that is to say, when I hear Avery Trufelman doing that show,
I still want to see them on the runway, though.
I go,
This is what I was talking about. I'm saying that I want to see them saying, like, now we have this coat, and they're coming out, and they're doing, I don't know the language around it, but they're, like, walking to the end of the runway. They're doing a little spin around. Then a slightly longer coat comes out. Have you ever heard this song before? It was big in the 90s.
it's not ringing any bells.
It's probably not. You know, it's not on the nose enough for what I was going for.
No, definitely not. No,
but what you like, but what
you've been living in the monkey house.
But
that is from Project Runway.
You were going to say what you like about this show.
When I listen to Avery Trufelman's show, I go, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the show.
I can't do that.
I can't do that. And also, by the way, I can't even do Lauren Lapkus saying I can't do that.
I know.
Andrew, there are so many things I can't do.
I say that all the time.
And I'm well aware of them. But a thing I can do is like have a chat with my actual friend and an actual other interesting person who wants to come by and talk to us. And so I have this very, like I said, and again, this is all coming from a place of ego, I guess, or a place of whatever. But yeah, my relationship with a lot of those shows is complicated by the fact that I do not think that they are doing something that I am incapable of doing, and that you're incapable of doing, that we would be incapable of doing. God had a different path for us, Andrew. That's all.
I guess so. I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, well, we don't have to get into me personally. Like, I don't think that I would be able to. I don't think that I would fare very well at all hosting an interview style show with famous people. I don't have a lot of interest in that, and also I don't think I'm particularly good at that. I think I'm better at talking with you because we have our own rhythm, and that's part of what we do. But I'm not good at getting to know somebody live on the air unless they are an incredibly good, chill guest. You know what I mean? So, but I did want to, since we're just rambling now anyway, and I don't have a lot to say about DTF. St. Louis, right? Is that DTF St. Louis? Because I haven't seen it yet. But I'm hearing nothing but good things. Thanks to our pal, the Stewbot, for shouting out our Patriot podcast in his newsletter recently when he was talking about this new Stephen Conrad project. I appreciate that. Everybody says they're loving it. The only person who says they tried it and didn't like it was Genevieve, but I will chalk that up to maybe Genevieve maybe having slightly different taste than me and that kind of thing. So I'm still very excited to give it a shot, as well as Perpetual Limited.
Yeah, I need to go back to Perpetual Grace Limited because I didn't actually finish that one, and not because of losing interest in it, just because of maybe something else, other stuff going on in my life. But here's the thing: I do want to manage expectations. It's not Patriot. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like Patriot or feel like Patriot. So just bear that in mind. And it's different from both of the other shows that I've seen him make, but it still has to me enough of the kind of like DNA of how he writes characters and stuff that I'm finding it. What I know is that I'm like, oh, have they dropped the next one yet? Which is, that's when I know a show is working. It's like, I'm actually spending time in my week wondering, hey, when is that thing coming out? When's the next one coming out? So
when we were talking about podcasts, though, a second ago, I want to tell you about something that I don't even know if this is worth mentioning because it's probably not a universal experience, and it's just about my own weird journey. But because my relationship with the Dan Le Batard show, when I was intensely listening to that show for several years, is similar to, I think, a lot of listeners' relationship with this show, a sort of completist mentality, boy, this is a lot of content, but I can't skip ahead, like kind of almost obsessiveness in some cases. I was definitely obsessed with like the Le Batard show, and I've fallen out of the habit because like just a lot of my favorite people left that show, just in various things. I mean, literally, it's so weird. They're still calling it With Stu Gatz, even though Stu Gatz has not been on the show in like more than half a year, I think, at this point, and they're kind of publicly, Stu Gatz has made it clear that he was not happy with something about the way he was treated on that show. So anyway, it's just weird. I sort of feel like but I've pulled away from that show and don't really think about it too much. Every now and then I see some scuttlebutt online and it kind of sucks me back in, but I haven't listened to it. But I told you the other day that sometimes I'll listen to things when they just pop on the radio. It's different for me if something just pops on the radio than if I'm looking for a podcast. I'm going to start it from the beginning. And I was very surprised the other day when I was just sort of flipping through the radio in the car and I heard Le Batard's voice. And I'm like, oh, so I guess the NBC Sports station, there's a satellite radio station called NBC Sports, and it must just air some version of the daily Le Batard show. And it was I think you might be able to appreciate this a little bit, Luke, because you maybe had a similar experience with this show during a different phase of its life. But like, I listened because I was like, oh, I like jumping in the middle of a conversation, and it felt so different to me, and not even different, but it felt, you know what it felt like? It was like, it felt so watered down to me. It was just like, oh, they're still just sort of making fun of Greg, but like, it just seems so not real anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the part where we make fun of Greg, but it's like if you love iced tea and you've been drinking this certain iced tea, for years, and then you stop drinking the iced tea, and then somebody offers you that iced tea again, only it's like at 1/10 the strength. They've taken a gallon of water and just poured it. Like, it just seems so diluted. And I was just like, wow, it was really hard for me to imagine caring about.
I thought you were going to say
people.
something totally different.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say because you caught this on, was this on Sirius or?
And then on Sirius Radio they have a station called NBC Sports.
But because of the fact that it's still more radio-ish than a podcast, you know what I mean? Because you were talking about that idea of like, you get in the car and you turn it on, it's getting delivered to you whether or not you sought it out. I thought you were going to say there was something about hearing it over the essentially radio in your car that made you like have a newfound enjoyment for it, but it sounds like it's the exact opposite.
It's like, it's the opposite. It's just kind of like, oh, like, because maybe I was like, oh, the gang, but like the gang is very different, and like the people that I really like. I mean, Billy Gill is gone, Guillermo's gone. Like, it's just like, but it was still like, but what do? We try to make Greg mad, but it's just like, it doesn't feel, I believe there was a time when it really was fun to tease each other and maybe get each other's goats, but it just seems so irrelevant to my life, and I also just didn't buy it, sort of, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, I guess I'm just trashing another show now, and there's no point in that. It was just like, it's just kind of strange to have such a relationship, such a parasocial relationship with a show like that, and then to hear it again like a year or two later with kind of fresh ears and a kind of different cast. I don't know, it's like, you can't go home again, I guess.
But it also explains why, and you actually kind of alluded to this, it explains why you are hesitant to jump into a new podcast sometimes, because if it goes well, like if it goes badly, like there's one or two things that will happen if you start listening to a new show. You'll either not like it and then you wasted an hour of your life, or you'll like it too much and it will become like Comedy Bang Bang or like Le Batard was for you, where you're just like immersed in this world. And like, for the same reason that, you know, a lot of us can relate to this experience of like looking at Netflix or HBO and just endlessly clicking around and never feeling like you're really willing to commit to something, but then you will look at your phone for 4 hours because, you know, just I guess my point is that because when you commit to a podcast as a listener, you really commit to it. And so just kind of like checking in on a show or like being like, well, I'll just listen to this today. Like for you, it's almost like it's a dangerous game, Dano.
Well, sort
to take
of.
it back to Le Batard.
And it's not even necessarily like, oh, well, I'm going to commit to this, so therefore I need something. It's like I don't feel like getting to know new people, new relationships, you know what I mean? And I'm not thinking about this front of mind, but I just always want to dip back into something, into the stream of something, of people that I know that doesn't have to feel like, okay, which one is Bateman? I mean, that's a stupid thing. But you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like, I don't know, those aren't my friends right now. That's not a party I feel like going to. I don't feel like knocking on the door of that party and saying, hi, I'm new here. You know what I mean? I just want to go see my friends who I've already got a relationship with.
I was about to say that like that's really been happening kind of with me and the Howard Stern show because what I realize is I am so far behind now. Like, and they don't do that many new shows. On a week they're working, they do 3 shows. And I think that's actually down now because of the new contract. It might be 2 shows a week now. But like, I'm still trying to get through December. I mean, now granted, the episodes are 3 hours long. But like, so basically, you know, I'm because, you know, I'm paying money for this Sirius subscription every month, although maybe there's, you know, I guess I do listen to some of my sports stuff on there. But I was just thinking this morning, I was like, dude, I'm just like so insane with my listening habits. I'm so like, first of all, the amount of audio stimulation that I need at all times, like when awake, is like, again, it's really kind of like, I don't think it's super duper healthy. Like I should just be able to like putter around my house with no sound on and not feel like that's like a dangerous situation for me. But this is what I had going on. I like to, when I'm on the treadmill, I like to listen to one of my shows that's like Chris's show or Ezra Klein or the Wall Street Journal has their version of The Daily now that's really good. I like to listen to like pretty serious informational stuff, and I think that's because my mind gets really locked in on what's being said. Also, it's a good way for me to listen because I'm not distracted. You know, if I'm in my house and I'm listening to the interview from the New York Times, I'm also always like looking somewhere else. I'm looking at my phone. I'm getting distracted. Like there's nothing to really distract me when I'm doing it. So I had 30 minutes. I had 30 minutes left of this New York Times. This is the kind of calculation that I'm doing in the morning. It's time for me to, I'm like making my coffee and stuff. And I know that I have 30 minutes of interview left from the interview with David Marchese interviewing Rebecca Solnit. And that's the amount of time my run takes. So I can't listen. I'm not allowed to listen to any of that because I want it for my run. I'm saving it for my run. But then I'm like, but what am I going to listen to in the 4 minutes that I'm walking from my house out here to the garage to get on the treadmill? Like, I don't even want to do those 4 minutes unentertained. And I'm like, okay, Stern. I'll do Stern. So, but then of course, it takes me 3 minutes to scroll back in the Sirius app to find the episode I'm on. And I'm having this thought, like kind of like you do with Le Batard. I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm paying money for this. I don't even, like, look how many episodes behind I am. Do I even care about this shit? And then I just turn it on, and it's Tan Mom congratulating Howard on extending his contract, and I'm just locked right the
That's
frick
great.
back in.
See, I love that. I love
like,
that, and that's good.
It's just like, and then they're making fun of JD. They're saying that basically Howard had to re-sign his contract because JD has no marketable skills because he's never made a resume. And then he's arguing, well, yeah, because I worked here for 20 years. They're like, are you on LinkedIn? He's like, I don't even know what LinkedIn is. Then Howard's like, yeah, this is why I have to work here because this guy will never make it in the world without me. And I'm just like, God, this is so good.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I wish I had, see, that's why I was so disappointed with the Le Batard thing is I was, because I do like the radio. I do like the idea of, oh, I'm just jumping in mid-conversation here. Like, it should have lit up all of my pleasure centers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
driving,
and it
listening.
and it just felt like, oh wow, it just felt like a carpet that had. It was so clear where they just been walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it's like this carpet is getting very thin.
It'll be interesting to see what happens to that whole kind of that Lemonade. Is it called? No, it's a Meadowlark.
Meadowlark for that.
Because they re-signed. I mean, that's a big budget operation, and of course your experience is anecdotal. I mean, I don't know anything about their numbers. If they're very popular amongst a bunch of people who just don't have the same experience that you do, or if your experience is kind of a leading indicator or a canary in some kind of coal mine, because like that thing is a multi-million-dollar situation that they're doing down there.
Yeah, it's DraftKings money still, I think, too.
Right. So I wonder if I wonder if what you went through with it. I wonder if that's having the other guy Stugatz leave. I wonder what if we'll see a kind of a shrinking effect of that show or something, over time. Because
do you know that he's doing his own show now on one of the lives? He's got his live radio show now on some sports network, and I can't remember which one it is, but his main sponsor is whatever the main competitor to DraftKings
FanDuel
is.
or something.
Yeah, his is FanDuel. So that probably also leads to. So there's like all the speculation, because I do catch some of this online and I do perk up when I see. Like, I'm more into the behind the scenes scuttlebutt than actually what either one of them is producing. I thought I might become a Stugatz loyalist, but same deal. It's kind of like, well, no, it's just there's
it's
a
like
reason.
eating a jelly sandwich or a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It wasn't
Like their way of like Dan's sort of like overly verbose nature and Stugatz's terse kind of nature, and just like whatever, like that was such a magical moment, the two of them, that I don't find, and I hope nobody says this about us, Andrew, because then we're stuck together. But like I do feel like I don't think I would listen to I don't think I would be super compelled to listen to like just an all Stugatz show or even just an all Dan show.
Well, interestingly, and now I've fallen behind on this, but I was telling you a couple of weeks ago that I started listening to Bill Simmons. Now, Bill Simmons is a name that I've known, I feel like most of my life, like since our 20s or something like that, but I was never into sports when he was writing. What was his famous blog? I know that you were
Page 2 for ESPN.
But I'd heard the name, and it wasn't, a world that I really cared about, but he's such a huge name. But I never avoided listening to his podcast before. And also, Genevieve was very deep into his movie podcast for a while. And so The Ringer, the movie podcast is I'm blanking on it right now. The Ringer is the name of his show and his network, right? But anyway, all of that is to say, the reason I started listening to that was because I had seen like Guillermo from the Le Batard show. Actually, when he left the Le Batard show, they said, that he's going to work over there in Spotify. But really, he went over to work for Bill Simmons. And I had heard that he was getting a little bit of mic time. Now, I've never heard him on the mic there, but that's what kind of like got me, okay, there was a reason for trying out this new flavor of ice cream or something like that, and I really like it, and it's very different, but I'm still in that phase with that show where I think he brings various people on who are like kind of co-hosts, but I think it might be rotating, and I still don't have a good sense of who these other voices are, you know what I mean? And I'm sure if I listen every day for a year, I'll know them and have opinions on them, et cetera, so it's kind of it's unclear right now where my relationship with that show is going to go, but also I don't know why our listeners would care.
Well, that show, listen, we cannot for 1 second begin to factor that in, Andrew, or this whole thing is going to collapse. But the thing about by the way, the rewatchables is, I think, the Bill Simmons
that's it.
film podcast. Yeah. The thing about the Ringer and just about the Bill Simmons, as far as I understand them, like he first of all, he's a very smart, interesting guy. I've always been a fan of his. Somebody emailed me that in a roundabout way I did make it onto the Bill Simmons Reddit page a while ago, which was. Then I was like, really? And then I went down. It just happened that a CBS piece of mine, he was in the background yawning.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody screen capped it and put it in. So that's as close as I'm going to get to the Bill Simmons universe. But those shows, or at least the ones that I see clips of with him, like in Cousin Sal or other sports knowers, Zach Lowe talks a lot of basketball on that show. It's just really good, very, I think, pretty well-informed sports talk with a dash of pop culture and just kind of like a good conversation. What it's not is what Stern does or what Le Batard was doing, where it's all personality driven of like, oh my God, is this guy trying to do this again? You know what I mean? Or is like back in my day, like with Greg Cody, like this kind of you can build an audio universe or whatever. You can build a show universe where it's like people have things they're known for, and they come in, and it's kind of like a, they used to call it a morning zoo or whatever. It's interesting because I don't get the sense that's what Simmons is doing, but he's doing something different, which is he's just so rooted in the information that I care about, whether it's sports or pop culture, and then he just has other people on that are similarly aligned or have similarly interesting takes, and then to hear them talk is just so like, I like it because I guess I would say I respect what everybody is bringing to the table.
And he's also really good doing solo shows too, which because he doesn't always have somebody there. And I remember I was listening one day and I was well into the show where I was like, oh, he's just doing this himself. Like you can usually when somebody's hosting something by themselves, maybe I shouldn't say usually, maybe I'm just thinking about the way it used to be on like talk radio, sports or otherwise, but that's sort of like almost, I feel like it was almost born of like the Limbaugh right-wing radio, but I could be wrong about that. But sort of the long pauses, it's always often if somebody's hosting a show by themselves, it's really easy to, and I know that there's a kind of a history of TBTL being a counter-programming to this, but like aggrievement and being angry about something and then like sighing or being frustrated about something. And like there's a sort of blowhardiness that usually a solo male radio host will sort of do with kind of long pauses.
Real
we'll go
Eric
to break.
Real Eric Bogosian talk radio vibes.
And so, there's something old school about that sometimes I kind of like too in a weird way. But the thing about like kind of like Simmons is, you're like, you can be listening for a long time until you realize, oh my God, there's nobody else even in the room, man. This guy has just got flow.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a fan. And I'm glad also that, and again, I don't know each and everything. I don't know every word that he said over the 20, or is it 30 now? It's going on 30 years since I first started reading Page 2. But I don't know every single take he's had and what I have a sense of is he didn't veer into like the Rogan verse or something. He didn't get weird on us. Now maybe he just doesn't talk politics a lot, but it's like he seems to have kind of stayed pretty steady Eddie on a lot of that stuff, which I appreciate because I like his stuff. It'd be a bummer if I had to kind of like, factor that in as well. And someone will probably hit me up with something he said. But anyway, I remain. That's why I had to reply guy him when I was at that UFC fight. And by reply guy him, I mean I had to approach him and like introduce myself because I was like, well, I mean, again, I've been a fan of this guy's work for 30 years. I will probably not ever have another chance to meet him. It's not improving his life for this random guy to come up and say, hey, big fan of the show. And yet I still did.
Did he blink? There's something about he has... And that sounded like an insult. I'm not trying. There's something about his eyes. Does he have green eyes or something like that? I feel like when I see clips of him, there's something about his eyes that are very.
Yes.
Did you find them?
Are they very blue? I found them to be arresting.
Yeah, arresting.
I found them to be very arresting. He's first of all, he's taller than I would have expected. I think he's got to be like maybe 6'2" or 6'3". You just don't ever expect anyone to be tall in this economy. But and also, like I feel like if you were
Except
tall,
for
maybe
Tim Cramlin's dad. I don't know how well you remember
I got
that
serious
episode.
Bill Brasky vibes off of his dad. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I felt like that was a subtle nod to all of us Bill Brasky heads. Just like a guy who's just a massive man, a legend, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
He drives an ice cream truck covered in human skulls, but which is why they had to put him away. I think was part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I have to admit that was that big UFC fight, and it was like, I mean, the number of different sort of famous people, at least famous in my world of sports and combat fighting and stuff. I mean, the place was friggin' crawling with people. Not to even mention all of the like, Theo Vons and the influencer types that are very, very popular these days. Literally, the only one that I was kind of like, whoa, it was like Bill Simmons. Like he walked in with his family. I guess if you're Bill Simmons, you don't come in through the front door of where the Raiders play. I forget what it's called in Las Vegas. But like it was kind of interesting because we were all through like press security and had gone through will call, and now we're standing kind of in this back special entrance, and it's like that's how people are really somebody, or at least in the eyes of UFC people, is they don't have to get out of their car anywhere near even will call where the press tickets are. They don't have to go through any of the normal stuff. They literally are driven around a back entrance of the arena, and then they get out and then just kind of walk in. And Bill Simmons was one of those people, and I was legitimately kind of starstruck.
Which is why it's so so suspicious that Jay Leno says he rolled down a hill trying to walk from his hotel to get something to eat. I know everybody is still talking about this scandal from
Oh, yeah. I haven't stopped.
3 years ago. It came up for some reason. Vives and I were watching Columbo yesterday. Maybe somebody fell down. I don't know why I brought it up. But I was like, yeah, like when
Jay Leno on the Columbo
fell,
episode? Because I wouldn't be shocked.
No, that's a good. No, I don't think he's come through those roads. But you remember what I'm talking about. It was about 3 years ago. He shows up for a gig and his face, like half of his face is black and blue, and he had a broken wrist or something like that. And he's like, yeah, I was going to do the imitation, but I won't. But he says that he was just staying at it sounded like it was a budget hotel or something like that, and he was going to go get something to eat. And he's like, I'd have to walk a mile and a half. Okay, we're going to avoid doing the accent. No, we're not. No, we're not. But he said, like, I just want to take a shortcut down this hill. And I can totally picture it, like one of those suburban, non-pedestrian friendly kind of places. So you have to go through this like area that they built as
it's a triumph of bad design and non-walkability.
But technically, maybe this one area is like a watershed or something like that. So you're like, I'll go down this hill. And so all of that sort of makes sense. If it wasn't Jay Leno, like you were just saying that Jay Leno, and Genevieve even pointed out something because I was like, how did he not have a driver? How does he not have a driver? Like,
this is where you're wrong.
And then Genevieve says,
digging your own grave.
Of all of the people in the world to not have a car in that situation, the fact that it would be Jay Leno is astounding. And I was like, now that is a 3-year-old late observation on this story.
Well, I don't want to be no fun or bring the reality of the world into the situation, but I was so unsurprised about this because one of the things that I feel like I know about Jay Leno is that he is obsessed with the idea of being deeply normal. He's not. He is abnormal. His level of wealth, his level of fame, that is abnormal, but he would tell you, I'm a normal guy. The amount that I just improved your Jay Leno impression with my Jay Leno impression, you're welcome.
Oh, I thought you were doing Stu Gatz. Sorry. I got lost there for a second. No, and I know that like
collision course. It was only for you.
Jay Leno, Fox
Jay Leno saying collision course.
No, you're right, and I know he's very proud of like not touching chunks of his money, et cetera, et cether. That's like such a narrative. So maybe he is just like really frugal when he goes on the road.
I have a feeling. My sense of, and I know exactly the kind of hotel it was. It was not a, it's not a Fleabag motel, but it's also not, the Ritz, because he's probably in like King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So he's probably staying at like the nicest level of Marriott they have, which would be a Marriott. And it's like I'm sure you described the geography and topography perfectly, because I've stayed in so many places like that where there's like, it's just like you pave paradise, you put up a parking lot, you're in this like hotel, you can kind of see some sort of shopping area that appears to have a Jimmy John's in it, and like it's got a Jimmy John's and a Yardbirds or whatnot. What's the Yard House? I feel like there's a lot of Yard Houses now. Or no, yeah, Yard House.
Is that the one that you went to, or the Texas Roadhouse or something like that?
It might be, depending on where you were, maybe not so much in King of Prussia, but yeah, just like some of those kind of restaurants and things that pop up in these areas, but like also walking to it is impossible because they haven't designed it well. So then you're trying to, I could just see again, and yes, he should have gotten in his car, and his car should have been I see, this is where I don't know enough about old cars to even make a funny reference. I was going to say an AC Cobra, but then I couldn't remember if an AC Cobra is different than a Shelby Cobra. Are those the same? That's always my like shorthand for like a guy who's obsessed with like race cars from the 60s. He wants a Shelby Cobra or something. It just seems like a car Jay Leno would have.
I was going to Qdoba.
In my Shelby Cobra.
There's a right way to rock and a wrong way to roll. You can just listen to your soul. Just remember that life is number one. You can be having so much fun. Just remember that life is much fun. You can be number one.
Blur's Days. You got them, we celebrate them. Is that our catchphrase? I'm working on.
Yes.
I'm trying to work. I kind of like that. That's pretty
Asked
good.
and answered.
Asked. Blur's Days.
Blur's Days. Asked and answered.
Blursed and blursed. All right, here we go here. If you want to wish somebody, or even yourself, a friend, a loved one, honestly, someone you don't like very much. Imagine that. There's something in your life
you
that
wanna
you
get
actually
'em back?
don't care that much. Or you want to just sort of say, you know what, this is a way for me to put bygones behind us. Let bygones be bygones.
Let bygones be behind us.
Let bygones be behind us. Famous. Blur's Days. You got them. We celebrate them. Email me, andrew@tbtl.net. Put Blur's Day in the subject line. That's very critical. That way I will see the Blur's Day on time. William says, happy golden Blur's Day to my 5, Nora. She turns 12 today. I'm so proud of your academic accomplishments and how your soccer skills have leveled up. If I'm listening to a pod and Nora hears it, she always says, start it over, because she wants to hear all of the drops at the start of the show. Hey, thanks, Nora.
Nora, that does my heart real good, because sometimes I wonder, does anyone like this crap?
Oh, they like it. Well, they like the drops. That's a tuna, bro. I love you, Nori. Love Papa. It's from William. Peter here wishing... Oh, you know how yesterday we were talking about how I kind of will pause for a while, sometimes longer than other times, on live DJ sets on TikTok. You know, usually people doing it from their personal space, but they have a full DJ setup or whatever. And I told you one of the reasons I like it is because if they are doing something like shouting at the people in the chat or whatever, they'll sort of like have the music up. I see a shout out from Luke. Thanks for the, what did you say yesterday, Luke? Thanks for the Shamrocks. And they'll sort of like kind of pull the music down. This morning I'm watching one, and some guy's doing this. He's like, oh, he was listening to a song I like too. He's playing, he's not even mixing it up, honestly. He's playing a song by the Talking Heads, and it's up, the volume's up. Then he does this. Shout out to Luke. Thanks for the Shamrocks. Like,
that's a good impression.
The music, like,
That's
kills.
a good impression.
And I'm just
Don't
like,
kill it.
what are you doing? Like, that was abrupt. And, like, not even on beat or anything. I was like, pass. What were we talking about? We're talking about Sherry. Because Peter says, Peter here wishing a happy Blur's Day to my wife, Sherry, who will be celebrating a boxcar birthday. A birthday
birthday?
Says a birthday that includes a 6. Is that a thing? Are boxcars associated with 6s? I couldn't figure that out. I tried Googling it before. I typed in boxcar and the number 6, and I didn't get any answers.
So much. I woke up at 4 a.m. today and could not go back to sleep.
Too much salt.
I mean, too much soup. Can you have too much soup? And so then I was just like, I don't usually do this because I'm usually capable of falling back asleep, but I went to sleep pretty early last night. Like, I went to sleep at like 10. So by the time you get to 4 a.m., I mean, it is 6 hours. It's not nothing. And so I got my laptop. I was sitting in bed with my laptop, I'm putting the show sheet together, and I don't know, trying to do a couple of different things. And I was like, I am going to find that drowning pool, that weird let the bodies hit the floor mashup that keeps showing up in like dog adoption videos. When I tell you I spent an hour of my life trying to locate it and could not, it made me so mad. I really wanted to play that for you today.
Was it one of those things where you're like, what I should stop doing, it's almost like quicksand. I should stop trying so hard. I should just open up TikTok and scroll.
I did consider that, and then I didn't.
But then,
yes,
then you're like, are you past the peak of that meme? Like, will it show up as frequently as it would have maybe a month ago? And then you're like, now I've just spent all this time scrolling on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, I never regret scrolling on TikTok, but that's
really?
not true.
I was going to say, I feel like you do.
No, but yeah, I couldn't. And the problem is, it turns out there's like 11 million things involving the song "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor," which I don't even like that being a part of the world at all. But so there's just like, you're digging through all these things that aren't the thing you're looking for, and then you're just also just troubled by the fact that this many people have made like a dog meme video, because I'm looking like puppy, abandoned puppy, bodies hit the floor, mashup, TikTok, just like, and it's like, well, there's a whole section of it that's just people doing a dog meme over the song, which is like, is that even art? Are you even creating anything new with that? I did go back to sleep at 5:30, and then I slept till like 7, so I caught up.
You're You were in bed by 10. I'm trying to think where I was. I was still.
You were still licking a tablet of salt somewhere.
Wrapping my tongue in paper towel. Peter here, wishing a happy Blursday to my wife, Sherry. Remember this? Who will be celebrating a boxcar birthday. A birthday that includes a 6. Is that a thing? TBTL is the highlight.
Is Peter and Sherry of Port Townsend, I believe.
So. Oh, yeah, here it is. TBTL is the highlight of her podcast day up in Port Townsend. And she often cracks up at Luke and Andrew's shenanigans. Jalapeno. Love ya.
My wife.
How about Brad? Brad says, happy Blursday to my wife, Rachel. It's been great to see you act. It's been great to see you act in community theater and to watch your progression to becoming a Pilates instructor. Oh, congrats. Looking forward to a
It's
fun
not
year.
Acting, Andrew. It's living truthfully in imaginary circumstances.
That's right. Good call. Do you know what that's from? You must.
I do. Workaholics.
Looking forward to a fun year of A's and Giants games, camping, paddleboarding, and, of course, listening to TBTL. So Rachel is following the A's as they're still
Can I ask you a question?
Roaming. They're a roaming team still, right? They're still waiting for their stadium in Las Vegas.
Yeah. I don't like anything about that situation.
I know. I feel bad. I don't think I've ever. I don't think I could have ever imagined feeling so bad for another team's fan base, as I sincerely do.
I feel empathy and affection for the A's fans of this era. Now maybe Bash Brothers, when they were winning World Series and had McGuire and Jose Canseco, whatever. But like this, the people that have been following for the last 30 years have had nothing but misery and mistreatment. That being said, I have a World Baseball Classic question for you, and it is: was there a team that was in the WBC? I think they've been since eliminated, but I feel like either their nation starts with an A, but their uniforms seemed like they were styled like, because you're a uniform guy.
Yeah. The first game that I watched was
it Australia?
Australia. In fact,
were they intentionally kind of looking like A's uniforms?
I would find it hard to believe that it was intentional, but a listener, I think, even texted me, because didn't Australia play 2 nights in a row or something? And maybe the first night I talked about it, and then the next night somebody kind of texted me during the game. I was like, "Are you watching this? Look at these! Look at Australia looking like knockoff A's uniforms or something."
Their hats.
So,
the hats are like
the A, and their color is green, and maybe there was some yellow in there as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess it's not a direct. I'm looking at the hats now closer up. It's not. Because just when I saw a clip of it, I was like, "Are they literally wearing like?" Are they doing some kind of a funny parody thing where it's, Australia uniforms, but they made them look like the A's? They did have some similarity, though. Not as much as I thought they did.
Yesterday was a very interesting day, by the way, in the WBC. And again, I'm not trying to make this my personality. There's a chance that I will totally fall off watching, depending on what my schedule is this weekend. You know what I mean? I'm not prioritizing all of them. I did really want to see that 4:00 game yesterday, the Italy-Mexico game. And first of all, what about Italy advancing in blowout fashion against Mexico?
Is Italy just
shocking.
a lot better? Did everybody know this? I just assumed,
I think it was a pretty big upset. I think.
Okay, because I just assumed, based on my lifetime of watching baseball, I mean, I guess part of it is that, again, I think the Italy team, I love them. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan, but what am I trying to say here? I don't think of Italy as being, as a nation, a hotbed of baseball excellence.
No, as opposed to Latin America. Mexico, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why it was so shocking. And now Mexico is eliminated. Italy is going on. Your boy...
Because all the Italian players, most of them are guys that grew up in Phoenix.
Your new boyfriend, Pasquino, got 3 home runs after being cold at the plate during the entire WBC. He got 3 dingers yesterday.
I would
was
die
hopped
for him.
up on caffeine after the game.
I also didn't realize he was making the cappuccinos.
Well, there's a guy there who's making them.
I didn't realize somebody was making them. I just thought it was the cup. I thought it was a joke.
No.
I didn't realize. I had never, until yesterday, I hadn't seen the part where someone is operating an actual espresso machine. I just had seen the part where they gave him the little like small Italian cup of
And
coffee.
you thought they were faking drinking,
or like someone had just poured some Coca-Cola in or some other coffee or whatever. I thought it was for the bit. I didn't realize there was the part of it of like someone was pulling shots of espresso.
No, yeah, part of the. I mean, they're like the instant cups that you put in and make it, but they do have a machine that like a
Keurig.
Well, I wouldn't call it like a Keurig for coffee, Luke. I'd call it more of a Theragun for coffee. Yeah. So and in fact, I got a quick look at the somewhat grumpy looking barista yesterday. Just some guy in like a polo shirt. I don't know if he's really grumpy. I just saw him for a split second. I was like, oh, I wonder if this guy is even. This guy doesn't seem to be as joyous as everybody else in the.
Of course, it wouldn't be Pasquantino, but somehow in my mind, when I saw the clip of I just saw a person over a real coffee machine, I confused it all to be Pasquantino is not only came up with the celebration, but not only is doing the splits at first base regularly, but is also the guy making the coffee, which of course would make no sense.
And then when I was at the gym, I was able to watch the back half of the Cuba-Canada game. I don't know if you followed this at all, but Canada eliminated Cuba. Like, Cuba is not advancing. I think for the first time, I mean, this thing hasn't been around that long, but for the first time in WBC history, Cuba is not advancing out of the first round, and Canada is advancing out of the first round.
Well, have you thought about this, though? Cuba, yes, hotbed, can only have Cuban players that have not defected, right?
I guess so, but they're really good at baseball.
They are really good at baseball, and they're better than, I guess, all of Canada. I mean, I'm shocked at how many times I find out somebody who's good at sports is from Canada, honestly, like who's in like an American sport, like the NBA or something, and then they're like, they're Canadian, or even Josh Naylor, they're Canadian. But I'm wondering if with Cuba, like, I mean, when's the last time we had one of those splashy stories where a Cuban baseball player defects? Maybe that's not even really happening. Are they allowed?
Well, Randy.
Are they?
I mean, Randy is the.
Well, yeah, to Mexico. I guess I don't. I should know this about world events. I mean, when I was growing up, it was this whole thing where it was like, if there was a guy who was a baseball player in Cuba and he was really good, it was only a matter of time before he just like absconded on some kind of a like a baseball trip somewhere, and then they'd like sneak away from the team and then like, ask for asylum in the U.S. Is that no longer the case? Because there's, until we bomb them, which seems like not an unlikely scenario with old Trumpski, but like, if you are a Cuban, can you like play baseball in the major leagues without the country of Cuba sanctioning you in some way anymore?
That's a good point. I have no idea.
Because it used to be that you could not be like a Cuban person like living in Cuba and then come play in the U.S. That's why you had to literally like escape from Cuba. But I feel like you don't hear about that anymore. So I'm wondering if, I mean, a quick check of like Cuban baseball team MLB would clear that up for me. But anyway.
Anyway, well, let's keep going with this here. Anyway, good day for baseball yesterday. I mean, depending on who you're rooting for. America does advance because of the scoring situation in that Mexico-Italy game. Basically, U.S. was just sitting, waiting to see what happened in that game to figure out whether or not they'd advance. Looking to see where I am here. I'm here on Corbin's message. Corbin's in Denver, and Corbin says, Happy Bluest Day to Robin in Denver. Party with the best friends. Party with the best of friends and enjoy the daylight saving time. Stay gold. I got to say, I'm working on being less pedantic. I really, truly am, but I could not believe that the KUOW newsletter referred to it as savings time earlier this week. I had a very, very brief, fleeting, such a fleeting moment of thinking, should I let them know? And obviously I decided that is not
That's why you got to make a burner account like I did. All of my TikTok comments are just, it's saving time. It's just like the worst, pettiest, least likable part of my pedantic personality fully on display because my name is like user 732570 time.
They're at KOW. They're like, why does Kevin Durant care so much about daylight saving time? That would be my burner.
Love it. Kevin Durant. Your burner is just called KD. Yeah, KD and then his actual number.
All right. Kelly in Belltown says, Kelly, happy Bluest Day to my mom, Mary. Mary, of course.
We know Mary.
Indeedly do. One of the
major rants and raves comments.
Yeah, I was
By
gonna
the way,
say,
you're
I don't
welcome.
even
Look how
know-
I just jumped right in for you.
Yeah, sorry, I was coughing a little bit there. I would say, gotta be. I'm going to say queen of the Seattle Times rants and raves.
Would
I'm
you
just saying
say
that right
maybe the Cal Ripken of rants and raves? You know, just
now.
some maybe
the streak. Oh,
the
yeah, I
streak.
could see that.
Maybe
sure.
more reps than anybody else has gotten.
And Mary was just sending me some of her clippings the other day. And so Kelly says, Happy Blur's Day to my mom, Mary. It's been rough out there, but my mom sets a good example on how to fight the feelings of doom by volunteering a pop-up. That's right. I love seeing Mary there to help feed her neighbors, postcarding for political campaigns, and putting together Know Your Rights whistle kits. Here's to another year of fun, happy hours, wins at the roulette table, and not taking shit from anyone. Fuck ice and go Hawks.
Wow. Okay. Now that Mary, if you want to trade strategy on roulette, I've got some.
Oh, I thought you meant on fighting ice.
That too, by the way.
Ben says, happy birthday to myself. Way to rock out your 30s, Ben. Your 40s are going to be great. I second that. I second that. Happy birthday, Ben. Enjoy your 40s. And finally, Kelly in Rhode Island says, happy birthday to Sarah in Denver. I'm choking.
Are you? All right. Hold on. We got this. That actually wasn't the drop. That sounds like I'm piling on. I didn't mean that. I meant to.
I don't know what
Not
is
even
going
that
on
one.
with me, man. Gotta drink some water. I have like something in my mouth is super dry. This couldn't have anything to do with the all the
No,
salt.
couldn't have anything to do with Operation Saline.
Just let me finish this chicken wing. Just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, Kelly. I don't know if that was good or bad. It was special. It was
I
memorable.
thought it was actually pretty funny.
Kelly in Rhode Island says, happy birthday to Sarah in Denver. May this be the best year yet, from Kelly in Rye. That's how I call Rhode Island.
Rye, New York.
R.I. Rhode Island.
Oh.
I was being
You said
silly.
that. You said that before.
Yeah, but it didn't.
It
make
had just
any
been a while because of the issues that you were having.
Yeah.
So I'd forgotten that it was Rhode Island when you said. Because do we have a listener in Rye, New York?
I don't know.
Maybe there's just somebody who's
R-Y-E, like the bread?
Yeah, there might be somebody on public radio who's in Rye. For some reason, Rye, New York lives large in my brain. I don't think I've ever been there, but. All right, so them's the messages?
Them's the messages. Happy birthday, everybody, and apologies for my bad behavior during that segment.
It wasn't bad behavior. You're dealing with a lot. I mean, it's self-inflicted, certainly. But I'm sure that you'll have it ironed out by tomorrow, which is good because we got another show to do tomorrow. We got a big Friday episode to bring everybody. So we sure hope you can join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Thursday, everybody. Try to, stay safe if you're here in the floodplain of the Pacific Northwest. And stay cool if you're in the heat dome of parts of California and other places, too. Nature seems to be batting last, and I, for one, salute it. Nature is the Italian baseball team, and I am America, and I can't begrudge nature for doing its thing. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.